Hello everyone. Today my talk is about motivation, and it's taken some motivation to get this video done, and I'm motivated to do it outside because, as you can see, there's a beautiful blue sky outside, and I would rather be here than sitting inside and be doing this for a change outside. And what do I really think about when I think about motivation? Motivation is dependent on the person and what they need and what they want. And usually we think of people going to work for the sake of money because they have to survive. However, that is what we call a secondary motivator, or it's probably, if you're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it would be right at the bottom. So some people do go to work just for money, but other than that, there must be some other value in doing anything. So, for example, this video over here, I'm standing outside. I'm just thinking about what has motivated me, trying to get into speaking to my cell phone this time, not even my computer. And what is my motivation for wanting to do a video like this? Well, it's actually to motivate myself and probably to impart a bit of knowledge of what I've learnt about motivation over the years. And if I turn my camera around, we have some flowers and we have some bees. Bees are motivated to collect their pollen. Okay. Right. What is motivation? Motivation is energy, because you need to get the energy up to do anything which is motivating, to do anything which you are motivated to do. Otherwise, you just won't do it. So why do people do things? Well, first of all, if you think of people in a job, you would think that they're motivated by money. But that is probably the first reason why they would have a job. Or maybe not. Maybe they'd be doing it for some other reason, depending on the financial situation. If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the physiological needs are right at the bottom. And of course, if you don't have any money, you can't satisfy your physiological needs at all. You won't even have food, a place to stay, anything like that. So once those needs are satisfied, what are the next motivating factors? Well, pretty close to that would be safety needs. And that is security, being in a safe environment, and perhaps money would satisfy that need as well, because the more money you have, the more security you can buy. Okay, we're thinking of these housing estates, which are probably a bit more pricey because of their security. Then once you've got that, what else do you look to? Social needs. In fact, when you lower down on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you would do well to make some friends, so that the social needs also fulfill the needs of the community, so that everyone helps each other. And it's well known that people in hard times, they pull together, whereas if they have too much, they tend to be isolated in their own houses, and therefore the social needs become less important in that way. When it gets down to the real I was going to say the real nitty-gritty of it, if they sitting without food or without shelter, then it's a different it's a different motivation as someone who just attends a social event to be seen and to show off everything about themselves and to be, try and be better than anyone else. Those needs fall by the wayside depending on where you are in your life. Other than that, beyond that, we want to be significant. We don't just want to be social. We want to know that what we're doing is making a difference to the world we're living in and making a difference to ourselves. And these are the higher needs where people will fight for power and position and all that if they are of that mindset. Otherwise, they will do something which satisfies themselves and other people. Other than that, there's on top of it's actually a pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which probably many people don't reach, as self-actualization. But that is defined by the individual, and some people could be self-actualized very easily if they don't want a lot in their world. They're okay, they're very happy with what they've got. It just depends on your level of self-satisfaction. And so motivation, in the past I've also attended motivational seminars and listened to motivational CDs and that sort of thing, and they work to a certain extent, but they don't work until you get into action. So basically motivation is really action. And so taking action and doing this video today, I'm also hoping, I will actually take action and sort out the book which I wrote, the manuscript which I completed in November. So it's been about 4 months, over 4 months, where I've just let it sit. But now I'm going to go and do some structural editing on that, and maybe move around some chapters and maybe make it more readable than before, because I've had some further ideas about that. And to be motivated to actually take action, take physical action and mental action together, there needs to be a balance, because when you're working on a book or a piece of writing, you could become very introspective and not be motivated to even go out. And that's also not very good for your mental health or your physical health. And the one feeds off the other. So when we're looking at motivation, we're also looking at balance, because you could be super energized by some things, but maybe they're not the things that will really be good for you in the long run. So it also involves balance. So motivation is an aspect of EQ, and being self-motivated is really being self-motivated is the way to go. And when you are self-employed, it's not always the easiest thing to be self-motivated. So that's when it helps to talk to other people who are probably in the same position as you, and it helps to perhaps maybe to a certain extent read motivational literature, put in positive input, but not just for the sake of it. It's got to be something that resonates with you and creates and promotes action, rather than just you listening to it and being super excited and super motivated. But really, when you get out of the seminar, or you stop listening to the material, then you're back where you were when you started, and you're not motivated to do anything. So for myself, as a let's say an introvert or an INFJ, I'm not really probably as quick to do things, or as quick to respond, and I do tend to procrastinate quite a bit. But once I'm into something, I complete it uh, once I'm in the flow, as they say, then I will sit for days and work very hard to complete it. But it's just to get into that. But it depends on your personality type. Some of us just are very quick at doing things, or quick at starting things, but not very quick at finishing them. So it really depends on what your tendencies are, and you need to know those. And this would again relate to so-called productivity. But what is productivity really? Productivity is a set of time management structures, but it's also how motivated you are to do everything that you set out to do. And that is often intrinsic. It comes from inside you. What do you really want to do? Or is it something that you're doing just because you have to, or because other people put that on you? Okay, I'm actually trying to stop this. I'm motivated to stop this video before there's a big noise, because someone is building a roof across the way, and they're going to be out with their drills and everything. So being out here this morning, say hello to my flowers. They're still beautiful. Right, so I'm motivated to go for walks because I can look at the flowers along the way, and I'm motivated to walk in nature because I really enjoy doing it. So what is the enjoyment in what you do? When you're doing a regular job, sometimes there are parts that you enjoy and parts that you don't. So how do you get over the parts that you don't? What do you do to motivate yourself to just keep going? To me, with being a writer and writing this book, I'm aware that I might just have it as a manuscript, or if I publish it, I'm not too sure how it will do. So the motivation cannot be financial unless someone is paying you to write the book. So my intrinsic motivation is actually my own self-development, and probably it's higher up on the scale than the finances at the moment, although I think it all feeds into everything else, because the more you get into action, the more action you can get into, and the more just everything combines to motivate you further to do whatever else you need to do. If you start on a path of being a productive person rather than a person that just sits around and so-called ruminates all day. I've been accused of ruminating, and I was actually quite, let's say, I was quite taken aback when I went somewhere on Saturday and I was trying to make a decision about what to eat and what not to, what to order. And then the girl said, "Oh, you're ruminating about this." Oh, no, I was simply making a decision, but it did actually hit me in the, I suppose, in the shadow spot. So I thought, well, what is this that I feel so offended by the word rumination? And then I looked at my tendencies, and I thought, yes, I'm probably reacting like that because I do ruminate, and I do procrastinate, because my rumination is procrastinate. I want to do everything right before I even start doing it, and what am I doing it for, and all that, rather than just doing it, for the fun of doing it. And this is the thing we need to remember in today's day and age, which is all about machines and AI and productivity and etc., and how much we're earning and how much we're getting out of it, and what is the transaction and what is the reward. What are we doing for our own mental health, for our own just for the love of doing it? And that too can be the start of more creative endeavors. Yes, so when I was doing the time management workshop, I used to ask people what their top 3 motivators are, and one thing that came up was praise and recognition. So that is very important in a workplace. And if you are self-employed, like I am, you give the praise and recognition to yourself. You need to encourage yourself, reward yourself for what you actually do accomplish. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit on motivation. And it's also another thing which I find useful is to keep track of what you did right in the week. Right, at the end of the week, like on a Friday, I will take stock of everything I've done and take stock of what I actually accomplished. What actions did I take? Because I can sit in my head all week and plan to do things and never do them, because I have a certain amount of maybe mental motivation, but it doesn't relate to the physical world. So but what did you actually accomplish, and what did, even if you didn't accomplish complete action, what was actually positive, what was a step forward? And just knowing that can motivate you to take it a bit further. Well, excuse this camera today because I'm just walking around. Yeah. So yes, so that's about motivation. That's some thoughts about motivation. Oh. Okay, here comes the noise. So I'm going to go into my room, and I'm motivated to put some earplugs in so I can really start and think about the manuscript which I'm working on. And what is it for you? What would you do today which would really be productive and a step towards what you want to accomplish? Think about that, and think about what is motivating you and what is preventing you from doing it. Thanks for watching. Chat to you next time. Bye-bye.